change your thoughts and you change your world is something that was a big part of my life. And they've asked me to share that story real quick with you. And I hope that's okay. All right, so this has a lot of meaning for me. And I'm going to tell you how I went on that long journey to finally have this in my own life. So I know what you guys are thinking now. You're thinking, okay, Josh, did you always want to be a host? Did you, when you're a young kid, I want to be a host, yes! No, I couldn't be the furthest from the truth. By now, you can tell that I have a little bit of an accent. Just a little bit, right? Okay, yeah. Okay, quite a lot, right? Quite a lot. All right. So I grew up overseas. I'm Singaporean, but I spent a lot of my childhood in a lot of small countries, a lot of small towns in Southeast Asia. And it was a very simple life. It was very hands-on. If we wanted a box for a present, we would make our own box. If we wanted hot water to shower, what do you guys usually do in Singapore? Turn on the heater, right? We didn't have that. We would take a pot, we would take some water, we'd go to the stove, we would boil it, and then we'd take that pot into the toilet with us. And then you had to ration the water to make sure your mommy and daddy also had water. That was what it was like. If we wanted fertilizer for our plants, we would wait for the cows, not the cars, the cows to go past outside the house. And then we'd go outside, and what we would do? We would collect all the cow dung. Cow dung makes really good fertilizer, by the way. Okay? It was a very simple life, and I grew up to be very, very hands-on. And when I came back to Singapore, okay, hands-on, you know when you collect the cow dung, it wasn't hands-on, okay? It was spade in the hands-on, okay? All right, so when I came back to Singapore in primary 4, it was a huge culture shock for me. I'd never done an exam before. When I came back, my body was fighting that change. I was throwing up every single day for my first week of school. And it didn't help that I was on a school bus. I remember throwing up one day on the steps. Everyone on the school bus laughed at me. And I began to get bullied. Because, hey, this guy speaks with an accent. Then they'll come up to me, hey, are you a man or are you a mouse? I don't know. And there were a couple things that made me stand out in school. And the first was obviously that I had an accent. And I didn't even know that I had an accent until I came back to Singapore. One day, this classmate came up to me and said, hey, Josh, why you speak like newscaster like that? Newscaster. And then I realized I had an accent. And that was making me feel very strange because the teachers would call me the dictionary. Any questions, any words they didn't know, hey, Joshua, tell us, what does it mean? I don't know. The second thing that stood out was the way I dressed. A lot of people think that because I've got an accent, I must be very rich. It couldn't be further from the truth. We grew up simply. We wore a lot of hand-me-downs, a lot of donated clothes, and I'll wear them until I had holes in them. And I didn't know any different. I thought that was pretty normal. There was one, there's some days in school you can come in your civilian clothes. You come in home clothes, right? So there was one day I came in my favorite pair of shorts and t-shirt, home clothes day, yeah, coming to class. The whole class laughed at me. I thought, okay, what's going on? And then a teacher came up to me and said, Josh, when we said wear home clothes, we didn't really mean wear home clothes. Huh? And I looked around, and sure enough, everyone was wearing, back then it was cool to have a long-sleeve t-shirt and a check shirt over it, and jeans, hair wax, so cool. And I looked at myself, and I was wearing a pair of gray shorts and t-shirt with holes in it. My favorite pair. I was so embarrassed. I felt like I couldn't really fit in. And I think you understand what I mean, but when you're a kid, all you want to do is just fit in. You don't even want to stand out. And it got pretty tough, but I put my head down and I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And I worked hard, got into secondary school, and secondary school is where the bullying got even worse. I was a prefect. How many here are prefects? Too scared to put your hand up. Okay, I can see all of you. There you go. And you know what I mean when I say people don't like prefects, right? People don't like counselors, and they love to tekan them, right? They'll find any way to tekan them, right? And because I spoke with an accent, they would do that to me. I would have people I didn't know in the corridors, hey, DJ, what's up, man? How's it going? I don't even know you, dude. What's wrong with you? Yeah. I had seniors who come up to me. I didn't know them either, and they would say, Josh, you should shut up and stop faking your accent. Whoa. And I remember being so upset because I couldn't change the way I speak. And this didn't just happen once, it happened again and again and again. And it still happens today. I grew up more or less just hating myself. At that time, my parents weren't around. I was staying in a hostel, and I stayed in a hostel for a very long time. I didn't really have anyone I could speak to. I was self-destructing inside. I hated myself. I hated the way that I spoke. I hated my accent. I hated the fact that I couldn't switch accents. You know, there's some people who can come up to you like, yeah, lah, that's right, man. Yeah, I tell you. And then they pick up the phone. Hi, Mum. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll be back for tea. Don't worry about it. All right, bye. And then, yeah, I tell you. I can't do that, okay? I was always very jealous of that. I couldn't switch accents. And I would get ragged for my accent to the point where I thought that if anyone said anything about the way I spoke, I thought that they were making fun of me. And that was generally the case. So that was pretty tough. Other than hating my accent, I hated the way that I looked. I hated the way that I dressed. I hated the fact that no matter how hard I worked in school, I just couldn't do well. I failed for 6 years straight. Because I was so hands-on, I did better in projects. But when it came to exams, I just couldn't finish my papers. And I failed, and I failed, and I failed. I just happened to be an integrated program, which means that I was very fortunate to get in, but that also meant that I didn't have an O-levels to kick me out. Okay, if I had an O-levels, I definitely wouldn't have stayed. But I kept on going, they kept on pushing me through. And I think some of you here understand what I mean when I say that when you fail for that long, it takes something out of you. It takes away your confidence. Your thoughts become just so negative. I remember thinking, you know, exam coming, I'm not going to pass this. I know I can't. I can't finish this assignment on time. I'm never going to finish my paper. And all these negative thoughts come in. And I think some of you understand what I mean. You think, oh, I've got a track record. I'm never going to be able to do it. Never, never, never. I cannot. And I continued, failing my way through school, barely passing because of my projects. And that will pull me through. And what I didn't realize is that at that time, I was beginning to struggle with something called depression and anxiety. And I wouldn't be diagnosed until secondary 4. But when they finally diagnosed, a light bulb went on in my head. I was like, oh, finally I have a word to describe what's going on. Depression has often been described as anger turned inward. And I hated myself, and I didn't have anyone I could tell about it because my parents weren't around. And so I continued to struggle, and I managed to make it into JC. It was a miracle I even made it to A-levels. I didn't meet the promotional criteria a few times. They just pushed me up. And I ended up failing my A-levels. Art was the only A-level subject I passed. Kids, don't try that at home, okay? Work hard, work hard. And I left the education system, JC, just feeling so crushed. If you had asked me where my self-esteem was, if you asked me where my self-confidence was, I'll tell you 6 feet under. If someone called my name out in class, if I stood up, I'll be trembling. You know? I would hide it, but I would be shaking inside. If people asked me to repeat myself, what do you say? I would start to stutter because I was just so nervous. My anxiety was a huge problem for me. My depression was a huge thing I had to struggle with all the way through. My turning point came when I went to NS. I was just so tired of school. I said, okay, I'm done with this, man. No more A-levels for me. I went to NS, and that's when things began to turn around. My NCHIC saw me and said, hey, you can speak quite well, huh? We make you the MC. Oh, okay, fine. So they made me the bass MC, and they made me do all the hosting of the promotion ceremonies and things like that, and they gave me training. And I began to realize, hey, okay, you know, I'm not too bad at this, you know. I don't suck at it. You know, at least finally I found something that I can kind of do. And they began to recognize my hard work. They gave me awards. And that began to build up my confidence again. I was slowly having that flip it, a change of perspective. And after NS, I thought, okay, well, you know, this is something that I can do. I kind of like doing design as well. I'm not too bad at this hosting thing. But here's the thing. One of the things that made me the most nervous, one of the things that jacked up my anxiety, then boom, right through the roof, was when I was on stage. I was in the drama club in JC. I decided to try. And they gave me a role, and I forgot whole paragraphs because I was so scared and I was so nervous. And the end of my NS, I thought, you know what, Josh? I have to face this fear down. I have to face my anxiety. I have to go on stage and I have to keep on hosting, I have to keep on acting until I can turn to my anxiety and say, you don't control me. And so I decided, okay, you know what? After my NS, I'm going to go back to poly. And I went back into poly, studied mass communication. I was 4 years older than everyone else. I felt like a grandpa. Like, oh, in my time, Pokemon didn't have so many. No, okay? It was I didn't even use a data plan. I didn't even have WhatsApp. And I felt so left behind. But I thought, you know what? I got to prove this to myself. I got to prove that I'm not stupid. It wasn't for anyone else. I wanted to prove it to myself that I could do something. So in poly, I put my head down. I gave 120% in each assignment. And the great thing about failing so much is that you begin to realize that, hey, grades aren't the biggest thing, right? So every time I got my assignment, it wasn't, can I get that A? It was, can I do better than I ever thought I could? Can I push myself to do something that was industry standard? And so I did that. And my classmates couldn't understand. They're like, oh, Josh, relax, man. What's wrong with you? Why are you so stressed about this? Why are you working so hard? My teachers couldn't understand it. And they would talk behind my back about me as well. And I felt so under siege. But I kept on working hard. And I graduated from Neon Poly after having done a lot more hosting, because I joined the radio CCA there. They gave me lots of opportunities. I kept on practicing. I kept on beating down their anxiety. And I graduated from mass communication, the valedictorian of my batch. I was the top person in my cohort. They said that I was the first person in the history of my course, 25 years, to ever graduate with a perfect score. Whoa. Thank you. I'm not here to glorify grades, not at all. So after I graduated, I looked back and I thought, okay, I'm pretty tired of this media thing, and I went in to go ahead and do freelance design. And right now, this is what I'm doing. I'm a freelance designer, a host, and I also teach. And I teach an art class for kids with Down syndrome on weekends as well. And here's the thing. Flip-its don't always happen immediately. You don't wake up the next day and like, yeah, I'm going to pass my exam this time. It doesn't happen. Sometimes flip-its, changes perspective, take a long time. It took me a long time to see my weaknesses as strengths. What do I mean? Did I still have the same things that I had back in secondary school? Yes, I still have my accent. Do I still have people coming up to me and telling me to stop faking my accent? Yes, I still do. Do I still have that affinity for hands-on work? Yeah. It's just I had slowly begun to change my perspective, to stop seeing this as a weakness and start seeing it as a strength. And it was in poly that I saw that, and I really put that to work. It was where I found my niche. So I'm here just to encourage all of you. Sometimes your flip is not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a tough road. And there's a reason behind the photo in your poster. If you can look carefully, what is that behind the words? It's a tree with what? It's not haze, okay? It's mist, but it's kind of similar, right? And this means a lot to me. Why? Because the mist is sort of like our negative thoughts that cloud our judgment. It was like that for me. When I was in secondary school, exam comes, no, I can't do this, I'm going to fail. Assignment comes in, no, not going to pass this one. It clouds the way we see things. When you walk outside and it's super hazy, what does it look like? It looks like a horror movie, right? But when the mist clears, and when the haze clears and the sun comes out, you can see the sun coming out on the right-hand side of the picture, everything changes. And that's just a completely different perspective. It's the same tree. It's the same life. It's whether you choose to see it through mist or whether you choose to see it through sunlight.